Well, and let's take a look at what happened there last week, Saturday. Well, violent clashes broke out between white supremacists and anti-fascists in the city of Charlottesville in Virginia during a protest by the far right against the city's decision to remove a Confederate monument. Well, 32-year-old Heather Heyer was killed and 19 others were injured when a car was deliberately driven into a crowd at the protest. Well, President Trump was criticised for his initial response to the violence, in which he blamed many sides for the unrest and didn't explicitly condemn the extremist groups, white groups there. Well, on Monday, Mr. Trump eventually bowed to pressure, criticising the far-right groups and describing racism as evil. But just a day later, in a fiery news conference at Trump Tower in New York, the US president caused more controversy by insisting there was blame on both sides during the Charlottesville clashes. Joining me to discuss this further is the economist for the New York Observer, Andre Walker. He joins me now. Thanks very much for joining me tonight. Lots to talk about. First of all, let's talk about the rallies taking place in Boston. Now, this is all organised by the conservative side. They're very quick to say they're not part of any racist or bigoted groups. However, they feel that they have to have this rally to protect their freedom of speech. What is going on where they feel they need to protect that?
Yeah, I think it's difficult for us to understand the issue with all the statues, because we've got statues to people that were involved in pretty unsavoury stuff, but a lot of that is very much in the past. I think one of the big difficulties that we have, and by the way, the New York Observer, there can be no more Yankee publication than the New York Observer, so I don't want to speak on behalf of Southern Americans, but I think that their view is that the Confederacy in many respects was a part of their history. It's something that's important to them. And then, of course, on the other side, there are people who say, well, look, there still are racial tensions in America. There is still discrimination against people. And so this is not necessarily been confined to history. Look, I mean, my own personal view is there's got to be some form of compromise where maybe the statues are moved and put... I saw something in Moscow where they put all the statues of the communist leaders in one park so people can go along there and see them. I think it's difficult because there is an element of cultural vandalism here, but you've got to understand why people are still annoyed that they're venerating slave masters.
So looking back to this time last week, the clashes at Charlottesville in Virginia really rose, lots of tensions, and what we've been looking at is the White House role in all of this, and how the White House, the role that President Trump entering the White House has played in the rise of the far right, of extremists, and them feeling emboldened to have these rallies, to call upon other members of the far right to come together and voice very strongly their own opinions.
Well, look, the First Amendment, the right to free speech, means that there will always be people who are kind of extremists on all sides shouting the odds. And certainly the average American takes the view that it is part of being American that you have to put up with some people expressing unsavoury views. I think in Charlottesville, really, and where President Trump came a little bit unglued, was there were essentially two issues, weren't there? There's one, the clashes between the far right and the anti-fascists, and then there was the terrorist attack. And I think the response to the clashes by Donald Trump might have been fairly reasonable, where he said, look, there was fighting on all sides, and actually there were reasonable people who agreed or disagreed with the statues. So there were reasonable people on both sides there. But then, of course, what he didn't do was immediately address the issue of the terrorist attack, which was clearly by a KKK member. His argument was that he just didn't have the information in front of him when he made the first statement.
Yeah, but the problem is when he did have the information, he still continued with that rhetoric that the violence was coming from both sides.
Well,
and this is where he has come unstuck.
Well, he clearly thought that the bigger issue, now whether he was right or wrong to feel that this was the bigger issue, I think he felt that the bigger issue was the violence that had taken place more generally rather than specifically that terrorist attack. I mean, I think it is a bit upsetting when there are these tensions in towns across America for these travelling circuses of far-right KKK and anti-fascists going fighting each other on the street. It's a kind of depressing situation. I think it would be better if these towns and cities on their own made decisions about what to do with the statues. But the end of this can't be that every single city only has statues of slave owners. I mean, that would be silly.
Yeah, well, many people would argue that a lot of his rhetoric, a lot of his views have been pushed by Steve Bannon, his former chief strategist, now leaving the White House. Anthony Scaramucci would even say the same thing, that he whispered in the ears, had played a big role in the opinions of Donald Trump. He's now gone, but even though he's going, he still has that strong rhetoric. He said he's going to continue on fighting for Donald Trump, continue that war for any of Donald Trump's opponents. And this is where the issues lie. This is the kind of rhetoric that people believe causes division, causes a rise in hatred.
Well, I think if you look at Charlottesville, look, it was, it was the left, if you like, or the kind of more modern faction who wants to remove this statue. Now, I think the transaction here is that the statue was going to be removed because people wanted to make a statement that the country wasn't racist. They felt they needed to make that statement as a result of Donald Trump being president. I'm not sure whether that's right. And then, of course, other people react back. So I don't think necessarily the violence in Charlottesville can be blamed directly on Trump and Bannon. I think it's more the fact that these people felt they needed to remove the statue. But on the more general point of Steve Bannon, look, Steve Bannon is not a racist.
You've worked with him, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. So I worked for Steve Bannon. I was a correspondent at Breitbart. Steve Bannon's not a racist. What he believes in is American exceptionalism, and there's an important difference. He doesn't like the predominantly white government of the European Union. He believes that actually the world is best served. We are more free, we are more democratic, and there is more free speech if America is the predominant political and economic and military power in the world. So that's really what he's fighting for. And I think this whole idea that he's interested in race is kind of a bit of a red herring.
I'm afraid we are going to have to leave that. Andre Walker, from the New York Observer. Good talking to you. Thank you.